this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com, and I am going to do a different video than what I typically do. And the reason I'm doing this is this video is going to focus more on technology, whereas usually I'm doing the hands-off, I'm pulling out the paper planner, or I'm making cards or scrapbooking or something like this. But this one is completely devoted and focused to technology. The reason that I find that I use these things, besides the ability to be able to use them in a very mobile world, I also find that it's better for shareability for my husband and I on those tasks and things that we share, so that we both know what the other one's doing. So there are probably three main things that we use technology to share information on, besides your normal texting and those kind of things. But as far as using applications and stuff for life planning and different things, we use them for our menu planning, we use them for our shared appointments, and we use them for our grocery shopping. Those are really the main things that we use them for. So we don't use a lot of apps. Now we have our different shopping apps that we may use if we're out shopping, or if I'm ordering groceries online, then I may use those apps. But for the most part, we only use just a few apps that we can both have access to, so that we can get the things accomplished that we want to accomplish in our daily lives. There are some things that are fairly important to us when we are doing choosing which applications or which programs we're going to use. And really one of the main things that we need to do is focus on what is accessible to both of us, no matter what device we're using. That gets a little interesting, because in my mobile life with my tablet and with my phones, I really like iPads. I really like my iPhone. My husband, by contrast, uses an Android platform in his mobile devices. He uses his Android phone. He uses his Android tablet. Our PCs, we both use PCs. I use a laptop. He has a desktop, but that he uses for work. Our family computer is a PC, but he also has access to an old computer that he's had for years and years. That's an old Mac that he uses as his laptop, and he has a different Mac that he uses for work as well. So we have all of these platforms, so we don't want to necessarily try to set up a shared calendar in a program that really doesn't cross those platforms easily. So we don't use a Safari calendar, say, or the Apple calendar. I don't use that as much as I use my Google Calendar, because that's not going to cross as easily to the platforms that he's using. Plus, I want to be able to access my calendar easily from my computer if I'm sitting there doing planning, or I want to be able to click into my phone while I'm at work and say, you know what, I really don't feel like that for dinner tonight, so I'll shoot my husband a text and we'll change our minds or whatever. And so the two main apps that we use for just everyday life stuff are our Google Calendars and our Google Docs. So I'm going to click into the calendar first, and I've learned a few things because I've shopped this video several times, because I keep finding times that I click into something and I display private information. So I'm not clicking into a lot on here, but I just want you to be able to kind of get an overview. What you have in front of you is a month at a glance of our October calendar. Now you can see everything, the pink on there are meals that were planned. I'm not saying those were meals that we necessarily ate, or that we necessarily ate them on that day, but at least we had a plan. If there's not a pink or peachy pink thing, that means that I really didn't have anything on the calendar plan. So it was probably one of those nights that maybe I was sick because I did spend some time down, or maybe we were traveling, or maybe it was one of those nights that my husband texts me and says, what's for dinner? And it might be whatever we can grab it out of the freezer and throw in the oven, or grab out of the freezer and throw in the Instant Pot, or do something really quick. So planning in some cases kind of went out the window in a very busy month. But what this does give us is it gives us the idea of what we want to make. Now what I've also added, as I'm adding meals into the menu, I find that it's helpful if I add where I took those meals. So, you know, I've recently shared some of my Pinterest boards that are menu related with my husband, so that if there's a recipe that I want to try, then I just say, this is where you get it. This is the board you go to get it. Excuse me one second. And so that's worked really well, so that he doesn't have to go hunting and find his own recipe if he's the one cooking, or if I find a recipe that looks really good, then it's filed in my brain and I can quickly say, oh yes, it was on the Crock-Pot Pinterest board or whatever. So we use our Google calendars and we share them. We also use it for shared appointments. You know, if my husband has a doctor's appointment that I want to be sure and go to, then like any other calendar, you can use it to set up reminders or whatever, so that we're both aware of that appointment so that we can meet for that. And so then the next app that we use together quite a bit is the Google Docs app. So when I open this right now, it's in a household inventory. Now I wish our household inventory really looked as good as what the app makes it look, because obviously putting all this stuff in here was quite a bit of work, but so is maintaining it. And usually what happens is I forget to take something off the list when we pull it out of the freezer or out of the pantry, or when I go grocery shopping I forget to add it back on. So every once in a while we'll kind of go through and say, oh, we need to update the list, just so we have an idea, because we don't want food or different items to go to waste either. So we do try to keep up with that to some degree, but it may be months and we haven't looked at that. But what we do use frequently is a grocery list. And I just found that if I go in and I put my own headers, and then I can always have this perpetual list. So if I'm at work and I realize that I'm out of Kleenexes on my desk, and I like specific Kleenexes, I don't necessarily want to get, you know, kind of the generic Kleenexes from materials. So I might say, you know what, it's worth $1 for me to go get my Kleenexes. I can just click it onto the list so that I know the next time that I go grocery shopping, it's already there. So there's almost always something in one of these categories on the list. You know, if I didn't go to Sam's Club and I am just going to Walmart, well, I know that the main yogurt that I like is less expensive at Sam's Club. So I might buy a small yogurt just to get me through, but I want to keep that on my Sam's Club list so I remember next time I go to Sam's that I'm out of yogurt. So we just keep it maintained for all of those things that we may not necessarily know when we're menu planning, but when we're menu planning and making our grocery list, however we may be doing it, whether it's ordering online at that moment or whatever it may be, then we know what's on the list so that we can refer back to this list. And again, it's a shared document. So not only is it shared between my husband and I, but when the kids are home, they can get in there and they can add things. And we have other documents that we share. Now, you'll go in there and there's a recipe in my Google Docs for broccoli beef. Well, my family doesn't care if I share that with them. If they want it and they want that, if they just have to have that recipe, then they can go on my iPad and get it. They don't necessarily need it cluttering up their stuff and getting in their way, but most likely they're just going to Google it and find the recipe they want. So we just make that work for us. We share what needs to be shared so that we can communicate really well. So I found Google Docs is great for that. There's some other things that I find that Google Docs is really good for. And that's when it comes to like holiday planning, whether it's Christmas or whatever it may be. Now, last year was the first year that both of my kids were away at college at the same time. And so I was doing Thanksgiving planning for the meals and stuff, you know, a few weeks in advance, so that I kind of would get things that I knew that they liked and make sure that I do use, I didn't last year, but typically I have a specific planner for Thanksgiving and I have a specific planner for Christmas so that I can start laying those things out. But when your kids are gone for a couple months, you know, they've been in my son's case, eating a lot of campus food, and maybe his favorite meal is something he hasn't been able to have. So I'll say, hey, click into the Google Doc, and if there's something you really want me to cook when you're home, put it in there so that it's on my list so that I can plan for that when I'm planning for the meals and stuff. I also use it with a shared doc for Christmas list. So when I'm looking for Christmas ideas, I'll say, hey guys, start making your list. I've got the document open, it's ready to go. Just add some things that you have on your wish list. So we're pretty flexible with what we're able to do with it because we can share it with however many people that we want to. And so that is the second main and generalized app that we use in our planning. Now there are a couple of apps that we use that are more specific to particular tasks. And I've already mentioned that I use the Sam's Club app and that I use the Walmart app, but I also use emails. A little bit of background on that. I decided with just the two of us being at home and we needed to add some variety to our menus, that I would try one of the delivery services. So I chose one and we liked it okay. It wasn't always exactly what we were used to, but that was okay. But what I found was the one that we chose ran about $10 a serving. So for a dinner, it would be $20 for my husband and I. Now, that $20 would provide us with some leftovers the next day, which isn't bad, but for a home cooked meal, I can do pretty much the same thing with less expensive ingredients if I'm just shopping for myself. So the flexibility was great. It was nice to be able to open up the refrigerator. There was a bag that said, this is the meal. Then you would grab the meat that came a little bit separately. You would put it all together. It was all right there. You had pretty much the correct measurements, but you were still doing the work. You were still chopping and cooking and doing all that stuff. And it really didn't save a lot of time, other than it did save time with shopping, without a doubt. It saved a little bit of time with menu planning because you pretty much had a choice of only so many meals that you could choose from. So you didn't have to do a whole lot of thinking about that. But it really didn't help with a lot of prep time, even though you didn't have to assemble your ingredients. That was really the only prep time savings for actually cooking the meals. So I decided, it really wasn't, for me, it wasn't worth the cost. I just felt like it was a little bit more than what I wanted to spend, especially for eat-at-home meals. So that's when I had heard of previously to that of this place called Emails. And so I'm going to go into Emails and kind of tell you a little bit what it's about. And it's a service. It's similar to those delivery services that delivers the meals right to your door. The difference is it doesn't deliver the meals. You still have to do the shopping. But you can use their menus to help develop shopping lists, and it really goes very quickly. So they have different menus to choose from. If you have certain dietary restrictions, or if you have, maybe you want meal planning on a budget, or for my husband and I, it works well to get the classic meals for two because I'm not cooking for a family anymore, so I don't want necessarily tons of leftovers. But for two, if the kids are home, I just double it. It's really simple. And so I found that that's the menu that works best for us. So you choose a menu that works for you, and then you choose, it shows up in your inbox or in the app typically. And I found that for me, it's easier for this particular app to use it straight from my mobile device, whether I'm using my iPad or my iPhone. And so I typically will look at the menu. It will show up. Let me go back to the menu. So it'll show up when you sign up, and there is a fee associated with it. I can't remember the exact fee. Typically, if you dig a little bit, you can probably find a 2-week trial offer. Just know that if you do the 2-week trial offer, you do have to put your debit or your credit card number in there to begin with. And so if you're not going to want to keep it for longer than 2 weeks, be sure and cancel it or you will be charged. And I believe that they charge, you can choose a plan that just charges by the month, but it does save you money if you pay for the whole year at a time. I want to say it cost around $60, but I'm not exactly sure. To me, I felt like the time saving for when I do use it, and I don't use it all the time, but when I do use it, I felt like the time savings and the idea of the menu planning could theoretically save you money as well. And so I felt like it was worth the $60, and it definitely added some variety to our meals. So when you first sign up, I believe that they give you 2 weeks straight off the top so that you have a few ideas to choose from. Now they even have expanded menus, and you can get more menus for more money. They even have like a holiday and party planning menu, which for me isn't too useful, so I just stuck with the one menu. But then each week I didn't choose one that had breakfast or lunch, it's just dinner, but they will put into the app 7 different recipes for you to choose from. And now each of those recipes will also have suggested sides, and if there are any specific instructions in preparing those sides, it'll have those recipes too. So if you look at this first one, it'll say ham and white bean soup, and the sides that they suggested with it are tomato and Parmesan cheese toasts. So if I click in that and I just have to tap on it, then it tells me, okay, this takes 20 minutes to prep, 30 minutes to cook. It's a total of 50 minutes. It lists my ingredients just like any other recipe and instructions. But then as I scroll down further, it'll list your side dish ingredients and instructions as well. So if I say, oh, that looks good, I think I want to try it that week, I can do 2 things at this point. I can add it to my list, or I might say, you know what, I just, we're having an Indian summer and it's really pretty warm and I don't feel like ham and bean soup. So I'm not going to put that, but I do want to try that in December when it's getting cold. So then I can just click right here where it says favorites, and that will save it to my favorites menu. So I just deleted that because that's not something I particularly would like. So how I use it is my particular menu comes to me on Wednesday. So at some point I'll go in and I'll click on the new menu and I'll just scroll down and I'll look at the top one, chicken and mushroom marsala, and I might say, well, that may be something that we would eat, but probably not, so I don't want to favorite that. Chicken salad with bacon and tomatoes, is that something we would eat? Yeah, we probably would eat that, so I'll click on that and I'll add it to my favorites list. And then I'll go back and I'll do that with piece by piece. And then if I'm really wanting to focus on just the app and not extra stuff, then I'll go back and I'll come down to my favorites. Across the bottom you have meal plan, shopping list, favorites, and then your account. But I'll click on my favorites and I'll scroll through. And remember, I do this week by week. So by now, I've been doing this since March. So I have quite a few that I either have tried and liked or that I think we might like, and I'll put it in there. And so then when I'm menu planning, I can go, I think Monday night we're just going to pull some spaghetti sauce out of the freezer because I make spaghetti sauce in a huge crock pot. I use a 6-quart crock pot that is almost completely full. I freeze it in quart-sized bags, and so that I have it all the time. So I might say, okay, Monday we're going to have spaghetti. Tuesday I want to try this weeknight baked burritos with Mexican rice. So I'll just click add it to my list. And so I add it to my list, and I've added 2 or 3 other things. So I can go into my shopping list, and once I get into this area, I can choose either my shopping list or my recipes. The nice thing of that is once you've done your shopping, you don't have to go through a shopping list just to get to the recipes because it separates them out. Or if I am getting ready to shop, I don't have to go through each recipe and pull out the items that I need to purchase. It's automatically generated it into the shopping list. So I'm in shopping mode right now, so I'll click on my shopping list. and it will list and break it out by category. So like it starts with canned and packaged. So everything for those 3 recipes I chose that would be in a canned or a packaged area, it's right in that area. So I'll look at that and it says, okay, I need this salad dressing. So I go, okay, I put this on the menu 3 weeks ago. I have a half a bottle of salad dressing. I don't need that. So I just click it and it disappears. So I go through bit by bit and I say, okay, I don't need any of these. And so when it's all done and I've eliminated everything that I need, then I go, oh, but I'm out of eggs. So I'll add eggs. And you just add eggs, add. I need milk, milk, add. Can't forget my Coke Vanilla Zero, add. And so once I've added everything and I feel comfortable with my list, if I'm from my PC, or probably you could do it from your phone. I don't like to print from my phone. It seems to not work well for me, and it's probably me, not the phone, not the printer. It's just me. But if I'm from my computer, I can print that list. I can take it to the grocery store. I have my list. I've removed my staples that I already have in my pantry. I removed, I bought 10 pounds of hamburger at Sam's Club and I already know I have it in the freezer, so I don't need to buy that. I've removed all of those items and I just have my shopping list, and I can go to the store and purchase what I want. But you can also, and I like to do this, once I have that list, if it's extensive, I'll just click in because it gives me the option to find a grocery service. Now, different menus, I believe, use different services. So if you have a menu that is more, I don't remember what they call it, but basically you're more health food type menu, you might choose to go to Whole Foods if you have a Whole Foods in your area. Or if you have just a general shopping list like I do, I'll choose to go to Walmart, and then I'm not going to click on it now, but basically it will start at the top of your list or somewhere in the list, and it will go through item by item. And so the first thing on my list says I want a package of Mexican rice. So once it redirects me to the Walmart app, it'll bring up all of the different Mexican rice that's available. It might be Rice-A-Roni and I don't know, Zatarain's or something. It'll bring up those all. I can compare either by brand that I like or whatever, just like you would if you were shopping, and you click on that and you add it to your grocery cart. So you can use this in conjunction with your other grocery shopping app accounts if they've tied together. Again, not everything's tied together, but for me, that works really well because I like to shop at Walmart. So I have found this app to be really useful. And then my husband can go to it. If he's the one that's cooking, then he can go into it and, okay, we're making the meatloaf tonight. So he'll click on that and there's his recipe right there. So again, it's a shared app. It's using technology to work for our family. And then the final app, yes, we use Pinterest. That's something that's relatively new to us. You probably know how to use Pinterest and how Pinterest works. I'm not going into that. If you don't know it, you can share boards so that multiple people can use the same board, and that's what I've done with our menu items and things so that he can just as easily get into it as I can from whatever device he wants, and he doesn't have to go find my iPad to do it. But the final app that we use is the Flip app. So the Flip app, and I've been playing with it because I've shot this video a few times. I've been playing with it. And so there's already some things added in there. But the Flip app is one that I've had on my devices for probably a year or two, maybe longer than that. And I think it was one of those things that somebody advertised, hey, you can use this app to do your Black Friday shopping. So I downloaded it and I don't even know if I really used it. And it's kind of just sat there. But my husband was playing around with technology a few weeks ago and he said, I found this app. And now forgive me if you are already familiar with the Flip app, and there are probably other apps similar. But he said, I found this app and it's really cool because you can go in and you can choose your grocery flyer, and you can browse your flyer and it'll list the most current flyers in your area. you can choose different grocery stores. So say you have 10 grocery stores in your area, but you only shop at 5 of them. Well, you can find those 5, and as long as they're available in the app, you can favorite them, and so that you can just scroll through their apps at any time. So you don't have to carry around papers. You have, if you're price matching at Walmart, you have your ads right there on your mobile device ready to go. So there's so many different ways that you can use it, but it also can be shared so that you can share your shopping list with each other. So that's what my husband and I have done. We have shared the shopping list. So if I'm menu planning and we're discussing it, I can look at it. And so what I've done here is I just pulled up the Walmart app, because if you're in the United States, chances are pretty good that you are fairly near to a Walmart. So I pulled up the Walmart ad, and I went in, and let's go back. No, that's not the right one. Let's go, if you're in the Walmart app, and I'm not in a place that I'm in it, and I don't want to go through the whole app with the stores in my area, but you can tailor it to go to the stores in your area. But if you click on an app and you see something, what you see here is the ground beef, and this is the Walmart ad. There we go, I clicked on it. So I clicked on the ground beef, and say I need some boneless, skinless chicken breast. I just click on it, and it circles it, just like it did right there. Now, it didn't click when I clicked up here because that was a prepared meal. I had to touch near the actual price or the item itself, but it circled that. So now if I go back into my shopping list, what you will see is, if I can get back there, I'll just go back, then it's added right here. It's added my boneless, skinless my boneless, skinless breast. So if I'm shopping the ads, I can click on the things that I want, and it'll clip them much like you would coupons. And actually, you can even, there are even coupons within the ad app itself. But so that's the first way you can use it. But then I know that, okay, I've gone through all the ads. I kind of have I've already done my menu, so I know what's on there, and I know that I still need bananas and milk and eggs. So you go down to add item, you type in the word banana, and not only will it add it to your grocery list, but it will also shop all of your local stores and tell you who has bananas on sale. So this week, maybe Sam's Club happened to have bananas for 5 pounds for 20 cents a pound. And it'll tell you that. And so you can kind of pick and choose which stores you're going to shop that week, or if you're going to use it in conjunction with your Walmart app or whatever you're going to do, you can pick and choose based on what's on sale that week. And you're not going from store to store lugging these papers around. It's all right here in the palm of your hand. So we found that it worked really well for us. The first time we used it, I was sick that week, so we made the list, and we found that one particular store had a lot of sales. And so we thought, it's probably worth it to go to that store, but on the way there or on the way back, he passes another store, and they had a couple things that were really good on sale. Now, we weren't driving clear across town to go to Walmart, it was on the way, and so we thought, okay, it's worth it to stop at both. So he already knew at the smaller store, maybe they had grapes on sale for 99 cents a pound, I don't remember. But so when he was at the big main store that he was going to, he could go, you know what, this other store had them for 99 cents a pound, what do they have them for? Okay, well, I'm already going to stop at there, and this store, they're $2 a pound, so I'll just pick those up on my way home at this other store. So you have that flexibility just like you would when you were shopping. But it's kind of moved the idea of the newspaper ad that comes in our mailbox once or twice a week onto an app that makes it a lot more user-friendly. So those are the main apps that we found work really well for our family. And we're able to accomplish what we need to accomplish in less time. And we're able to communicate those needs and anybody can tell you that good communication helps so many things. And so it works really well for us. So that's just some ideas. Do I still paper plan? Absolutely. Am I going to quit paper planning? Absolutely not. But I'm going to use the technology available to me to make things better for my family. So, again, thanks so much for stopping by today. And remember, take some time to enjoy the little things, and maybe, just maybe, that's going to be the next best app available to you. Have a great day. Bye.